Alrighty guys, new to me, 2015 Pioneer 500. I just pulled a bunch of the plastics and the skid plates because I wanted to clean it. It's been used as a hunting buggy for a long time and all this crap fell out of it. But I think it's a good unit. Every vent line's in the stock locations. It's never been snorkeled. It's got high miles, but it's a Honda, so who cares? It does have a nice little storage thing. That thing was in here, so that's nice for storage. Everything looks like pretty factory and unmolested and in good shape. Only aftermarket parts I found was this aftermarket glove box, that aftermarket cooler thing, storage thing, and it had some wiring for radio, which I removed because I hate aftermarket wiring. Rip that shit out. So a few people have asked for updates on everything I do on the Pioneer 500. Hope this doesn't bore the rest of you guys to death. First thing I do when I buy a new machine is clean it. You notice a lot of things while you're cleaning it, so I got it nice and clean. Then I check the air filter. Pretty disgusting, but no mud and water in there, which is good. So I'm gonna change that. Then I'm adjusting the valves. So I pulled these plastics loose, but not removed all the wires. You can flip it up and you can get to your exhaust valve there and your intake valve here. Pioneer is actually pretty easy to do valves on because there's no gas tank sitting on top of the head. The exhaust valve was super loose, intake valve was right on spec. A lot of people say you gotta pull the battery tray out of the way to look in the port to get the thing on TDC. I just bump the starter until I get it to where both valves have a little bit of slack with the feel. And once I do that, I know the cam is positioned on not one of the lobes. I adjust the valves and it's good to go. That's not good enough to time the motor, but to adjust the valves on these, you don't have to be perfectly on TDC. You just have to be, pretty far away from the other side of the lobes. So yeah, I got the valves adjusted. Exhaust was super loose. Intake was perfect. So I'm gonna put the inspection caps back on there. And the next thing I'm gonna do is snorkel it. Vent lines, and then I'm going to do the frame chop mod up here, cut a 45 on that, weld in a plate to get more tire clearance, and yeah, then we're going to roll. I'm going to try it out on the 28s that came on the Can-Am, the factory 28s first. So I got some wheel adapters coming, $60 for all 4 adapters. These are 4x110, that Can-Am is 4x137. Yep, and then eventually I'll put a 35% gear reduction in it, and probably some 32 or 33 Aztecs after I move the arms forward. So I'm gonna do the mod where the arms now mount here. I'm gonna move them forward in front of the tabs and weld in some new tabs to give it a 2-inch rake for free. I'll make a video when I do that. I'll eventually do that same kind of mod on the rear, move the arms back to the other side of the tabs, get some longer bolts, some spacers, etc. So a quick observation on the P500, there's actually a throttle stop adjustment right there with that nut. You could very easily bump up the idle a little bit with that. A lot of times I actually drill a hole in the butterfly, but there's no need to do that on the P500. You actually have an adjustment. So I might be able to use that to help it idle underwater better. Ideally, you'd put a stall clutch kit, which is like $70 from EPI, and then bump your idle up a little bit. That way you have more back pressure to not stall underwater. Might have to try that.